since President Donald Trump was unable to push through his draconian replacement to the Affordable Care Act, he's now setting his sights on his next legislative objective: tax reform. Now, unsurprisingly, what he is pushing is trickle-down economics. Now, for the two of you that don't know, trickle-down economics is a disproven economic theory that elites push, wherein they tell us that they should have all the money and wealth because one day that wealth will trickle down to all of us peasants. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm still waiting for the wealth to trickle down to me. They keep telling us that it's going to trickle down, but, you know, any day now it's going to happen. But that never happened, and I wonder why. It's almost as if they have something to gain personally from trickle-down economics. I mean, this was an idea that was shoved down our throats by Reagan, Bush 1, Clinton to an extent, Bush 2, even President Obama, and now, unsurprisingly, Donald Trump, because surprise, surprise, he has a lot of money and he would benefit from trickle-down economics. So since this economic philosophy has been tried and failed multiple times, every time a politician tries to shove it down our throats, once again, they have to repackage this turd and try to resell it to us as something different, when in actuality, it's the same goddamn thing that hasn't worked and will never work. So here's Donald Trump trying to sell us all trickle-down economics.
It is vital that we reduce the crushing tax burden on our companies and on our workers. We pay the highest tax of any country in the world on businesses, and we can't keep doing that. Last week, I repeated my principles for tax reform. First, we must make the tax code as simple as possible. It's extremely complex, it's not fair, and it's extremely hard to understand. So we want to make it as simple as possible. Second, we must provide tax relief for middle-class workers and families. Third, we must restore a competitive edge, which we've lost. We're doing fine, but we lost the competitive edge. You see what's going on all over the world. So we can have real job growth throughout America. We can't be the jobs magnet of the world if we continue to tax our industries at rates 60% higher than companies in other countries. Can't do it. And finally, we must bring back trillions of dollars that are currently parked overseas. We have, in my opinion, $4 trillion. $4 trillion. Massive amounts of money that can't come back to our country because of our tax code and because of the rates. And this is more than just tax reform. This is tax cutting, to put it in a very simple term. We're going to cut taxes. We're going to reduce taxes for people, for individuals, for middle-income families. We're going to reduce taxes for companies, and those companies are going to produce jobs. Tax reform that follows these principles will create millions of new jobs and ensure that more products are stamped with the very beautiful letters and words, "Made in the USA." It's time to lower our taxes, bring back our wealth, and make America the jobs magnet that it can become, and pretty quickly. It's really, in other words, an expression I don't know if too many of you have heard it. It's time to make America great again. Has anybody heard that expression? I don't think so.
Donald Trump is such a one-trick pony because every time he goes off script and tries to be personable, all he has is the same tired cliche, "Make America great again." Okay, that means nothing. It's an empty slogan that you used, but the campaign is over. It's done. You're not making America great again. You're making America worse. So stop with that. But putting that all aside, because I'm almost, getting into rant territory. So what he says here, it's not founded in reality because we don't have the highest tax rate around the world, because effectively, once you take into account deductions, business tax loopholes, corporations pay nothing. In fact, many corporations got tax returns. So you're telling us here that we have the highest corporate tax rate in the world when these corporations are scamming the average taxpayer and they're shifting that burden to us. So yes, it's the case that marginally we have the highest tax rate, but effectively that couldn't be further from the truth. And if it were true, then there wouldn't be so many companies that are paying $0 in taxes. So anyone who believes this, I question their sanity because it's not true. And it's so frustrating to hear this same talking point espoused by not just Republicans like Donald Trump, but also Democrats as well. And one reason why I'm actually terrified at the prospect of Donald Trump pushing through tax reform, even though legislatively he's had no successes at this point, is because this is the one issue where the so-called resistance might not be resisting him after all. In fact, what he's proposing has a lot of Democrats on board. Heidi Heitkamp, he is buttering her up currently, and she's a corporate Democrat who really wants to cut her corporate donors' taxes. So this is really frustrating because this is something that Trump can actually get done. So I just want to make a prediction, and we'll try to anticipate what's going to happen if Donald Trump is successful at passing trickle-down economics at the end of the year, which he wants to do. So this will exacerbate income and wealth inequality because inevitably rich people will get richer, poor people will get poorer, and rich people will keep their money in their bank accounts and they won't reinvest it back into the economy. And meanwhile, the tax burden then gets shifted to the working class. And of course, that's going to negatively affect the economy. Now, it's not like you need a crystal ball to predict this because, I mean, we've seen this movie before. We know how this story plays out. We have spoilers. It never ends well for average Americans or the U.S. economy. Again, trickle-down economics, it's something that elites with a vested personal interest in pushing it tell us peasants so that way they can rob us. I don't accept you oligarchs robbing us any longer. You've had your cake, and now it's time for us to redistribute wealth, not from bottom to top, but top to bottom, because that's what the economy needs right now. You oligarchs are just sitting on millions and millions, and in some cases billions of dollars, and you're not reinvesting it back into the economy when we're having to pay all the taxes that you greedy pigs aren't paying. So I do not buy into Donald Trump's trickle-down economic theory, and you shouldn't too, because it doesn't work. We don't need to try it one more time, because I guarantee you it's going to have the same result. And they know it's going to have the same result. It doesn't work. They know it doesn't work, but they don't care. It's about the money, and they want more of it because, you know, having 10 mansions just isn't enough. They need to buy their 11th mansion to make them feel like their life is meaningful, while we struggle to even feed ourselves because they don't care. You know, if you have money, you have power in this country. So please, 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 people, don't buy into trickle-down economics version 8.0. Let's just reject it unequivocally and move on to something different because we've tried this and it doesn't fucking work.
Support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Report.